the station that's on your side. This is News 12, first at 4.
This is video from today of Augusta Commissioner Sammy Sias being led into the Federal Justice Center downtown. Sias is charged with destroying documents in a federal investigation and lying to federal investigators. Last week, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp picked the 3-person panel that will consider removing Sias from commission. That panel has 14 days to make a recommendation. Our Laura Warren is live outside the Federal Justice Center downtown. Laura, what did you learn from today's court hearing?
So the biggest thing we learned today is that Sias is pleading not guilty in this case. So that is the big takeaway. Also, we learned that there would be bond issued in this case, a $50,000 bond. He's required to pay 10% of that, so $5,000, and he will not be arrested. He'll be allowed to wait out his trial out as a free man. But this started at 2 o'clock. He walked up the steps of this courthouse, and the only 2 people with him were his 2 attorneys. No family, no friends walked into the courtroom with him. There was very limited seating inside with COVID, and we know that in federal court you're not allowed to have cameras inside, so there were only media members. There was 1 friend or maybe a family member who walked in about 10 minutes late, but other than that, very limited people inside. The prosecution laid out the charges against him, and they say he told an investigator at his home in Hepzibah that he had provided all of the records when he knew he did not, and that he also destroyed some records. They did mention SPLOST dollars tied into all of this. So overall, a pretty quick process, but they spent a lot of time talking about the $5,000 he owed the court in order to be released on bond. He told his attorneys he didn't have it. The judge is allowing him until Monday at 5 p.m. to come up with that $5,000, or he could be thrown in jail. Now, with this being federal court, there are a lot of very strict provisions for him to be out on bond. He has to stay in the area. He can't travel outside of the Southern District of Georgia. He has a 10 p.m. curfew. He has to be in his house from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. He has to forfeit his passport. So this is playing with the big leagues when you're talking about federal court. Now, we did speak with his attorneys very briefly afterwards. They're not allowed to comment when it comes to a federal case, but they did say they are expecting this to be a very lengthy process.
Thanks so much, Laura, for that live update. A lot of information coming out of court. Again, we're going to continue to follow this case as we learn more. First at 4, the city of Grovetown is reinstating COVID precautions. They said that due to the rise of hospitalizations from the Delta variant, they will encourage everyone to wear a mask, use hand sanitizer, and maintain 6 feet distance. This is regardless of vaccine status. They are also requiring their city employees to do the same and to limit the number of workers and vehicles. Also, first at 4, McDuffie County.
We should be in the low 80s and just partly cloudy skies. We'll have a look at some higher storm chances by Friday and Saturday in just about 10 minutes.
A disturbing video circulating on social media depicting a woman tackled to the ground by Richmond County deputies. The woman who was tackled says her arm is broken as a result. We've been reaching out to the Richmond County Sheriff's Office all day for the incident report. We're still waiting to hear back from them on what started all of this. Coming up on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're going to look at what the Richmond County Sheriff's Handbook says about use of force. Our local Georgia Cancer Center celebrated 1,000 bone marrow transplants yesterday. Every year, around 18,000 Americans are diagnosed with life-threatening illnesses that could be treated by bone marrow or blood cell transplants. Mandy Gaither explains more on how a patient's chances of finding a donor vary based on their ethnicity.
He's just 4 years old, but Aiden Paredes is fighting for his life.
Aiden was diagnosed with ALL B-cell leukemia in February, and we don't have a match.
Because of his aggressive form of blood cancer, Aiden is in need of bone marrow, but only about 30% of patients can find a fully matched donor in their family. Be the Match is a national marrow registry that links patients with potential donors.
Many times this is their last option, and a patient cannot find a cure without a transplant.
The chances of finding a donor vary based on ethnicity. Of the 22 million people on the Be the Match registry, 79% are white, 48% are Hispanic or Latino. It's even lower for certain other ethnic groups.
You're most likely to match somebody who shares your ethnicity. So for individuals who are of Black, Hispanic, or Asian ethnicity, they're going to have a harder time finding a match.
He just wants to be that normal kid that can run without getting exhausted. Just to be a 4-year-old.
That's why Be the Match and Aiden's parents are pushing for more diverse marrow donors who could literally save a life.
If it's not for Aiden, it could be for anybody else.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And if you're interested in donating, you can head to bethematch.org to see if you can save a life. Well, some universities are requiring their students to either get vaccinated or to get tested weekly for COVID. But to avoid that, some students are paying big bucks to get fake vaccination cards. Less than a week after students were notified, a University of North Carolina professor sounded the alarm on Twitter about students who knew how to buy a fake card for $200, and it's now becoming a trend at the school.
It is really disturbing the lengths that some students are willing to go to subvert the university requirements, and these students are going to be able to subvert the regular testing while also not being protected from the virus.
The university responded by saying this would result in disciplinary action or possibly suspension. Reaching herd immunity is not a straight path.
The Live by Camera Network is brought to you by Mountaineer Press Services.
At Davis Appliance and Furniture, you'll find the top brands at the lowest prices in town. With over 24,000 square feet of showroom floor, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. Bedroom suites, sofa sets, and appliances, we have them in stock. From our floor to your door, visit Davis Appliance and Furniture.
I'll return a case. Big case or small, one call, that's all.
Call 1-800-CALL-KEN.
Welcome to Davis Appliance and Furniture, where you can find the best deals in town. We have sectional starting at $5.99, and we offer financing and delivery to meet your needs. For the top brands at the lowest prices in town, visit us at Davis Appliance and Furniture.
Research is now revealing how the COVID lockdown could impact kids' learning, but a new curriculum may help students catch up. As Nancy Alvarez explains, it involves combining 2 subjects for a better outcome.
When you think of science, you probably think of all the projects.
We made models and we did poster boards and we dressed up as famous figures.
Growing seeds.
We did like paper mache planets, rockets in a bottle.
While these activities are fun, a new study from University of Pennsylvania finds science may actually also help early reading and writing skills. Education scientists assessed more than 1,500 kindergartners. They found students who participated in the ARC core curriculum, which combined literacy instruction with science, performed better than others who took the standard curriculum in reading comprehension, letter naming fluency, and motivation to read. The ARC curriculum allowed classrooms to use fewer supplementary literacy programs and involved parents by sending books home daily for children to read. Experts say parents should read to your kids 30 minutes a day and make it fun by including books about animals, bugs, and other science topics. It's a 1-2 punch that could have a positive effect on your child's education. I'm Nancy Alvarez reporting.
The researchers say while there's some evidence that integrating science and literacy benefits older students, this study is one of the first to examine the combination technique for younger kids. Stick with us. We're going to be back after a quick break. $15. In a statement, CBS said they wanted to attract and retain top talent for their company. Spirit Airlines is entering another day of canceling flights. Today, nearly half of all of their flights were canceled. Yesterday, it was at 61% of flights. The company is calling it a perfect storm. Bad weather, staffing shortages, and system outages hitting all at once during the peak of summer travel season. Passengers say there's no excuse for the late notifications they are receiving.
10-15 minutes before we were supposed to start boarding, and then there was no one to talk to at the desk, and then we went and found like another agent, and they said to go back to the desk, then we got to the desk, and they said to like go back to this ticket line, and so yeah.
And Spirit Airlines, many people are still stranded at airports around the country. Millions of dollars in student debt gone. Thousands of students with debt from their time at historically black colleges and universities are getting major assistance. Daryl Forges has a closer look into why.
Carrington Wiggum is a rising senior at Florida A&M University. She's also the student body president and has big dreams after college.
So I know I want to end up in the political arena or the entertainment arena.
The rising senior had an unpaid balance of $8,000 she needed to clear before registering for classes, when suddenly her balance was wiped out.
When I saw that there was nothing in my account, especially being an out-of-state student, I was like, I'm not going to even put a question mark where God put a period.
Wiggum wasn't alone. It happens to thousands of students on campuses like hers around the country.
You should know that for the last year and a half, this institution has provided more than $16 million in student support and direct debt relief.
FAMU is among at least 20 HBCUs that paid off a combined total of more than $25 million in student debt in the last 3 months. That's thanks to the funding from the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, which is also part of the CARES Act.
I've received calls and texts and emails from students who otherwise would not be able to return to school in the fall.
A 2016 study by the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities found about 78% of bachelor's degrees recipients graduate with less than $30,000 in debt. HBCU officials say forgiving debt, especially for these students of color, is crucial.
These students have less debt, which means their credit score is going to be better, which means their opportunity to purchase homes, to purchase cars, to purchase other items.
For Wiggum, her family works hard to put her and her brother through college, and this help will go a long way.
I feel like I just have to continue the torch to make sure that their endorsement essentially goes to great use.
I'm Daryl Porter reporting.
And this is great news for a lot of students, so congrats to her. Again, the schools have cleared out a combined total of more than $25 million in student debt. There are more than 100 HBCUs across the U.S. Riley?
Well, we are seeing the